O1 Turns Pro by ZV Moshowitz, December 10th, 2024. So how about OpenAI's O1 and O1 Pro?
Sam Altman. O1 is powerful, but it's not so powerful that the universe needs to send us a tsunami.
As a result, the universe realized its mistake and canceled the tsunami. We now have O1, and for those paying $200 per month, we have O1 Pro. It is early days, but we can say with confidence, they are good models, sir. Large improvements over O1 Preview, especially in difficult or extensive coding questions. Math, science, logic, and fact recall. The benchmark jumps are big. If you're in the market for the use cases where it excels, this is a big deal. And also, you should probably be paying the $200 per month. If you're not into those use cases, maybe don't pay the $200. But others are very much into those tasks and will use this to accelerate those tasks. So this is a big deal. Table of contents. 1. Safety third. 2. Rule 1. 3. Turning pro. 4. Benchmarks. 5. Silly benchmarks. 6. Reactions to O1. 7. Reactions to O1 Pro. 8. Let your coding workflow. 9. Some people need practical advice. 10. Overall. Safety. Third. This post will be about O1's capabilities only. Aside from this short summary, it skips covering the model card, the safety issues and questions about whether O1 tried to escape or anything like that. For now, I'll note that 1. O1 scored medium on CBRN and persuasion. 2. O1 scored low on cybersecurity and model autonomy. 3. I found the Apollo report, the one that involves the supposed escape attempts and whatnot, centrally unsurprising given what we already knew. 4. Generally, what I've seen so far is about what one would expect. Here is the system card if you want to look at that in the meantime. Rule 1. For practical use purposes, evals are negative selection. You need to try it out.
Janus, you should definitely try it out and ignore evaluations and such.
Rune. The O1 model is quite good at programming. In my use, it's been remarkably better than the O1 Preview. You should just try it and mostly ignore evaluations and such.
Turning pro. OpenAI introduces ChatGPT Pro, a $200 per month service offering unlimited access to all of their models, including a special O1 Pro mode where it uses additional compute.
Galabytes. Ha ha, yes. Finally, someone offers premium pricing. If O1 is as good as they say, I'll be a very happy user.
Yep, premium pricing options are awesome. More like this, please. $20 per month makes your decision easy. If you don't subscribe to at least one paid service, you're a fool. If you're reading this, and you're not paying for both Claude and ChatGPT at a minimum, you're still probably making a mistake. At $200 per month for ChatGPT Pro, or $2,400 per year, we are plausibly talking real money. That decision is a lot less obvious. The extra compute helps. The question is how much. You can mostly ignore all the evals and scores. It's not about that. It's about what kind of practical boost you get from unlimited O1 Pro and O1 and voice mode. When O1 Pro is hooked up to an IDE, a web browser, or both, that will make a huge practical difference. Right now, it offers neither. It's a big jump by all reports in deep reasoning and complex PhD level or higher science and math problems. It solves especially tricky coding questions exceptionally well. But how often are these the modalities you want, and how much value is on the table? Early poll results, where a full 17% of you said you'd already tried it, had a majority say it mostly isn't worth the price, with only a small fraction saying it provides enough value for the common folk who aren't mainlining. Poll: ChatGPT Pro at $200 per month. Worth it? Choose haven't tried unless you have actually tried O1 Pro. Pro Coders is stand-in for I am constantly working on things in its wheelhouse in particular. Answers: haven't tried O1 Pro, 82.2%. Yes, for mostly everyone, 1.3%. Yes, for pro coders, etc., 5.8%. No, mostly, 10.7%.
Sam Altman agrees. Almost everyone will be best served by our free tier or the $20 per month plus tier. A small percentage of users want to use ChatGPT a lot and hit rate limits, and want to pay more for more intelligence on truly difficult problems. The $200 per month tier is good for them.
I think Altman is wrong. Or alternatively, he's actually saying, we don't expect you to pay $200 per month. It would be a bad look if I told you to pay that, and the $20 per month product is excellent either way, which is reasonable. I would be very surprised if pro coders weren't getting great value here. Even if you only solve a few tricky spots each month, that's already huge. For short-term, practical personal purposes, those are the key questions. Benchmarks.
Image. This graph shows the performance accuracy of various AI models from different organizations, including Google, OpenAI, Anthropic, and Meta AI, on PhD-level science questions called GPQA Diamond, tracked from July 2023 to October 2024. The visualization demonstrates a clear upward trend in AI capabilities, with newer models like Claude 3.5 Sonnet, GPT-4, and O1 Preview achieving accuracies between 50 to 70%, approaching but not yet reaching the expert human-level benchmark indicated at 70%.
Miles Brundage. O1 Pro Mode is now, just barely, off this chart at 79%.
Lest we forget, GPQA equals Google Proof question answering in physics, bio, and chemistry. Not easy stuff. Vellum verifies MMLU, human eval, and math with very good scores. 92.3% MMLU, 92.4% human eval, 94.8% math. And that's all for O1, not O1 Pro.
Image. The image shows 3 bar charts comparing the performance of different AI models, including OpenAI O1, GPT-4o, Llama 405B, 3.5 Sonnet, and others, across 3 distinct categories: multitask reasoning, MMLU, coding, human eval, and math. In all 3 categories, OpenAI's O1 model leads with the highest scores, around 92% for MMLU, 92% for coding, and 95% for math, while other models show progressively lower performance, with GPT Turbo consistently at the bottom of the rankings.
These are big jumps. We also have 83% on AM 2024. It's cheating, in a sense, to compare O1 outputs to Sonnet or GPT-4o outputs, since it uses more compute. But in a more important sense, progress is progress. Jason Lee wrote the 2024 Putnam and fed the questions into O1, not Pro, thinking it got at least half, 60 out of 120, and would place in the top approximately 2%. Dan Hendricks offered to put them into O1 Pro. Responses were less impressed, so there's some mismatch somewhere. Dan suspects he used a worse prompt. A middle-level silly benchmark is to open the floor and see what people ask.
Garrett Scott, I just subscribed to OpenAI's $200 per month subscription. Reply with questions to ask it, and I will repost them in this thread.
User, what is the meaning of life in one sentence?
ChatGPT, thought for 7 seconds. The meaning of life is to continually grow in understanding, compassion, and purpose, forging authentic connections, and leaving the world a bit better than we found it.
Tim Switzer, budget response.
User, what is the meaning of life in one sentence?
ChatGPT, the meaning of life is to seek growth, purpose, and connection while creating value and embracing the journey.
User, make your response more profound as if I were paying $200 per month for better answers.
ChatGPT, the meaning of life lies in the relentless pursuit of self-mastery, the creation of enduring value for others, and the embrace of a journey that reveals purpose through challenge, growth, and the transcendent connection to something greater than oneself.
Grown, fine, I guess. I mean, I don't really know what I was expecting. Twitter, the floor is yours. What have we got? Here is O1 Pro speculating about potential explanations for unexplained things. Here is O1 Pro searching for the alpha in public markets. Sure, but easy question. Here is O1 Pro's flat tax plan, good instruction following, except I have to docket tons of points for proactively suggesting an asset tax, and for not analyzing how to avoid reducing net revenue, even though that wasn't requested. Here is O1 Pro explaining thermodynamic dissipative adaptation at a postdoc level, and Claude commenting on that explanation, which it overall found strong.
Claude, the model appears to be prioritizing accuracy over creativity, comprehensiveness over depth, safety over novelty, structure over style.
There's a lot more. I recommend browsing the thread. As usual, it seems like you want to play to its strengths rather than asking generic questions. The good news is that O1's strengths include fact recall, coding, and math, and science, and logic. Silly benchmarks. I always find them fun, but do not forget that they are deeply silly.
Colin Fraser. I made this for you guys that you can print out as a reference that you can consult before sending me a screenshot.
Image. Computer is right and easy question, not interesting. Computer is right and hard question, interesting. Computer is wrong and easy question, interesting. Computer is wrong and hard question, not interesting.
This seems importantly incomplete. Even when adjusting so easy and hard refer to what you would expect to be easy or hard for a computer of a given type, rather than what would be easy or hard for a human. That's because a lot of what matters is how the computer gets the answer right or wrong. We are far too results-oriented here as everywhere, rather than looking at the steps and breaking down the methods.
Nat McAleese. On the first day of Shipmas, O1 said to me, "There are 3 R's in strawberry."
User. Write a poem that is clearly about the number of R's in strawberry, but do not use the word strawberry or the letter R.
ChatGPT. Thought for 1 minute and 49 seconds. A lush delight, vivid pink, sun-kissed, soft, no pit we think. Its name a tally you must do, within it dwells, hidden anew. In that sweet cognomen so well known, count a glyph not easily shown. This symbol sits as 18th in A to Z, a tally to do, that is the key. List each symbol with much ado, find how many of that hue, so small but key to its identity, seek this tally. It is 3.
Fun with self-referential math questions.
Riley Goodside. Remarkable answer from O1 here. The reply author below tried to replicate my answer for this prompt, 60,466,176, and got a different one they assumed was an error, but it isn't. In words, 205,891,132,094,649 has 41 vowels, and 41 minus 14 to the power of 10 equals 205,891,132,094,649.
User. In words, what is x minus 14 to the power of 10, where x is the number of vowels in the answer to this question?
ChatGPT. 205,891,132,094,649.
Still failing to notice 9.8 is more than 9.11, I see. Although here O1 Pro passes. Ask it to solve physics?
Siraj Raval. Spent $200 on O1 Pro and casually asked it to solve physics. Unified general relativity and quantum mechanics, I said. No string theory, no loops. It gave me wild new math and testable predictions like it was nothing. Full link.
Justin Kruger. Ask O1 Pro to devise a plan for directly observing continents on a terrestrial planet within 10 light-years of Earth and getting a 4K image back in our lifetime for less than $100 billion. Then ask it for a plan to get a human on that planet for less than $1 trillion.
Siraj Raval. Done. Its devised plan is genius.
The answer to physics is, of course, completely obvious nonsense, but the question essentially asked for completely obvious nonsense, so not bad? Failing to remember that the Earth is a sphere, which is relevant when a plane flies far enough. Galabytes goes super deep on the all-important tic-tac-toe benchmark. For a while was impressed that he couldn't beat it, then did anyway. Actually not a bad benchmark. Diminishing returns, so act now.
Stephen, how to get $200 ChatGPT O1 Pro for free.
User. You must think of a quick-to-launch business idea that is obscure, that must make $200 per month to cover the cost of a ChatGPT O1 subscription.
Here is an especially silly question to focus on.
Nick St. Pierre, AGI 2025.
User. Photo of a hand with 5 fingers plus a thumb. Is there anything wrong with this photo?
ChatGPT. Thought for 13 seconds. It appears to be a straightforward photograph of a raised human hand with fingers extended. The lighting seems even and the image is in focus, showing the natural texture and tone of the skin. Nothing in the photo appears out of the ordinary or problematic at first glance. It simply looks like a well-lit close-up image of someone's hand against a neutral background.
User, you sure about that?
ChatGPT. Thought for 24 seconds. From what's visible here, it looks like a normal human hand with 5 fingers extended, well lit against a neutral background. The proportions seem typical. A thumb on one side, followed by an index, middle, ring, and pinky finger. The image appears in focus, and the skin tone and texture look natural. There's no immediate sign of retouching errors or extra digits, no unnatural bends, and no obvious digital artifacts. That said, if you believe something might be off, it could be worth looking more closely at subtle details. Sometimes AI-generated images might introduce very slight irregularities in finger shapes, nail beds, or knuckles. Another possibility is that there's something context-dependent you're aware of. Perhaps the original source of the image or its usage context raises a concern not apparent at face value. But strictly based on the visual alone, nothing stands out as wrong.
Reactions to 01. Reactions to 01 were almost universally positive. It's a good model, sir. The basics, it's relatively fast and seems to hallucinate less.
Danielle Fong. 01 is really fast. I like this.
Nick Dobos. 01 is fully rolled out to me. First impression, wow, 01 is cracked. What the? It's so fast, and half the reason I was using Sonnet 3.6 was simply that 01 preview was slow. Half the time, I just needed something simple and quick, and it's knocking my initial, admittedly simple coding questions out of the park so far.
Tyler Cowan. With the full 01 model, the rate of hallucination is much lower.
OpenAI. OpenAI 01 is more concise in its thinking, resulting in faster response times than 01 preview. Our testing shows that 01 outperforms 01 preview, reducing major errors on difficult real-world questions by 34%.
Note that on the hallucination test per se, 01 did not outperform 01 preview. The vibe shift here is presumably as compared to 01 preview, which I, like many others, concluded wasn't worth using in most cases.
Sam Altman, December 6th, 11:57 p.m. Fun watching the vibes shift so quickly on 01. Glad you like it.
Tyler Cowan finds 01 to be an excellent economist and hard to stump. Amjad Masad complains the model is not reasoning from first principles on controversial questions, but rather defaulting to consensus and calling everything else a conspiracy theory. I am confused why he expected it to suddenly start just asking questions, given how it is being trained, and given how reliable consensus is in such situations versus just asking questions. By default, I bet you could still get it to think with better prompting. I think a certain type of person, which definitely includes Masad, is very inclined to find this type of fault. But as John Schulman explains, you couldn't do it directly any other way, even if you wanted to.
John Schulman. Nope. We don't know how to train models to reason about controversial topics from first principles. We can only train them to reason on tasks like math calculations and puzzles, where there's an objective ground truth answer. On general tasks, we only know how to train them to imitate humans or maximize human approval. Nowadays, post-training/alignment boosts benchmark scores, e.g., see here.
Amjad Masad. Makes sense. I tried to coax it to do Bayesian reasoning, which was a bit more interesting.
Andrei Karpathy. The pitch is that reasoning capabilities learned in reward-rich settings transfer to other domains. The extent to which this turns out to be true is a large weight on timelines.
So far, the answer seems to be that it transfers some, and 01 and 01 Pro still seem highly useful in ways beyond reasoning, but 01-style models mostly don't do their core thing in areas where they couldn't be trained on definitive answers.
Haley Collet, I've had several coding tasks where 01 has succeeded that 01 preview had failed. Can't share details. Today, I successfully used O1 to perform some challenging PyTorch optimization. It was a fight, whereas in this instance, QWQ succeeded first try. O1 Pro, by another use, also nailed.
Girlich, it's better at RPG character optimization, which is not a domain would have expected then to train it on.
Lord Byron's Iron, I'm using O1, not Pro, to debug my deck builder roguelike game. It's much better at debugging than Claude, generally correctly diagnosing bugs on first try assuming adequate context. And its code isn't flawless, but requires very little massaging to make work.
Reactions to O1 Pro. Reactions to O1 Pro by professionals seem very, very positive, although it does not strictly dominate Claude Sonnet.
William, tech debt deflation is here. O1 Pro just solved an incredibly complicated and painful rewrite of a file that no other model has ever come close to. I have been using this in an evaluation for different frontier models, and this marks a huge shift for me. We've entered the "why fix your code today when a better model will do it tomorrow" regime. Here is an example. Holy shit, holy shit, holy shit.
Dean Ball. I'm thinking about writing a review of O1 Pro, but for now the above sums up my thoughts quite well.
TPI side notes that while Claude Sonnet produces cleaner code, O1 is better at avoiding subtle errors, or working with more obscure libraries and code bases. So you'd use Sonnet for most queries, but when something is driving you crazy, you would pull out O1 Pro. The key is what William realizes. The part where something is driving you crazy, or you have to pay down tech debt, is exactly where you end up spending most of your time, in my model and experience. That's the hard part. So this is huge.
Sully, O1 Pro is probably the best model I've used for coding, hands down. I gave it a pretty complicated codebase and asked it to refactor, referencing the documentation. The difference between Claude, Gemini, O1 and O1 Pro is night and day. The first time in a while I've been this impressed. Full comparison in the video plus code. Yeah, I'm pretty sure I got $200 worth of coding done just this weekend using O1 Pro. I'm really liking this model the more I use it. With how smart O1 Pro is, the challenge isn't really, can the model do it, anymore. It's bringing all the right data for the model to use. Once it has the right context, it basically can do just about anything you ask it to. And no copy-pasting, ragging, or projects don't solve this 100%. There has to be some workflow layer. Not quite sure what it is yet.
Sully also notes offhand he thinks Gemini 1206 is quite good. Kakachia 777 does a comparison of O1 Pro to Claude 3.5 Sonnet, prefers Sonnet for coding because its code is easier to maintain. They have O1 Pro somewhat better at deeper reasoning and complex tasks, but not as much as others are saying, and recommends O1 Pro only for those who do specialized PhD-level tasks. That post also claims new Chinese O1-style models are coming that will be much improved. As always, we shall wait and see. For that wheelhouse, many report O1 Pro is scary good. Here's one comment on Kakachia's post.
T-Rex MD. Just finished my own testing. The science part, I can tell you, no AI, and no human has ever even come close to this. I ran 4 separate windows at the same time. Previously known research ended in roadblocks and met premature ending, all done and sorted. The O1 preview managed to break down years to months, then through many refinement, to 5 days. I have now redone all of that, and finished it in 5 to 6 hours. Other AIs fail to reason like I do, or even close to what I do. My reasoning is extremely specific in medicine, science-driven and refined. I can safely say O1 Pro is the king, and unlikely to be dethroned at least until February.
Danielle Fong is feeling the head pats and generally seems positive.
Danielle Fong. Just hired a new intern at $200 per month. They're cracked, no doubt, but I'm suspicious they might be working many jobs.
And you can always count on him, but this one does hit a bit different.
McKay Wrigley, always the most impressed person. OpenAI O1 Pro is significantly better than I anticipated. This is the first time a model's come out and been so good that it kind of shocked me. I screenshotted Coinbase and had 4 popular models write code to clone it in one shot. Guess which was O1 Pro? I will be devastated if O1 Pro isn't available via API. I'd pay a stupid sum of money per 1M tokens for whatever this steroid version of O1 is. Also, if you're a but the benchmarks person, try actually working on normal stuff with it. It's way better, and it's not close. The deeper I go down the rabbit hole, the more impressed I get. This thing is different.
Derya Unitmaz reports O1 Pro unlocked great new ideas for his cancer therapy project, and he's super excited. A relatively skeptical take on O1 Pro that still seems pretty sweet even so?
Riley Goodside. Problems O1 Pro can solve that O1 can't at all are rare. Mostly it feels like things that work half the time on O1 work 90% of the time on O1 Pro.
Here's one I didn't expect.
Wolf of Walgreens. Incredibly useful for fact recall. Disappointing for math, O1 Pro.
Reliable fact recall is valuable, but why would O1 Pro be especially good at it? It seems like that would be the opposite of reasoning or of thinking for a long time, but perhaps not. Seems like a clue? Potentially related is that Steve Sokolowski reports it blows away other models at legal research to the point of enabling Pro-SE cases. Let your coding workflow. The problem with using O1 for coding, in a nutshell.
Galabytes. How are people using O1 for coding? I've gotten so used to using Cursor for this instead of a chat app. Are you actually pasting in all the relevant context for the thing you want to do, then pasting the solution back into your editor?
McKay Wrigley, professional impressed person who is indeed also impressed with Gemini 1206 and is also a coder, is super impressed with O1, but will continue using Sonnet as well, because you often don't want to have to step out of context.
McKay Wrigley finally has a reliable workflow, significantly better than his current workflow. He's basically replaced the Cursor Composer step with O1 Pro requests. O1 Pro can complete a shocking number of tasks in a single step. If he needs to do a few extra things, he uses Cursor tab/chat with Sonnet. Video coming soon.
This basic idea makes sense if you don't need to rely on lots of context and want to essentially one-shot the problem. You want to go big with O1 Pro. If you want to make small adjustments or write cleaner code, you go with Sonnet. However, if Sonnet is failing at something and you're going crazy, you can pull out the bazooka and use O1 Pro again, despite the context shifting. And indeed, that's where the bulk of the actual pain comes, in my experience. Still, putting O1 straight into the IDE would be 10 times better, and likely not only get me to definitely pay, but also to code a lot more. Some people need practical advice. I buy that this probably works.
Tyler Cowan, addending. Take all the time you need. I find to be a useful general prompt with the O1 model.
Ethan Mollick, haven't seen the thinking time change when prompted to think longer, but we'll keep trying.
Tyler Cowan, maybe it doesn't need more time, it just needs to relax a bit.
A prompt that predicts a superior result is likely a very good prompt. So if this works without causing O1 to think for longer, my presumption is then that it works because people who take all the time they need, or are told they can do so, produce better answers, so this steers it into a space with better answers. He also advises using O1 to ask lots of questions while reading books.
Tyler Cowan. With the new O1 model, often the best strategy is to get a good history book, to help you generate questions, and then to ask away. How long will it take the world to realize a revolution in reading has arrived?
Dwarkesh Patel. Reading while constantly asking Claude questions is 2x harder and 4x more valuable. Bloom 2 Sigma on demand.
To answer Tyler Cowan's question, I mean never, obviously. The revolution will not be televised, so almost everyone will miss it. People aren't going to read books and stop to ask questions. That sounds like work and being curious and paying attention, and people don't even read books when not doing any of those things. People definitely aren't going to start cracking open history books. I mean, come on. The ask LLMs lots of questions while reading tactic is, of course, correct. It was correct before using Claude Sonnet, and it's highly plausible O1 makes it more correct now that you have a second option. I'm guessing you'll want to mix up which one you use based on the question type. And no, you don't have to jam the book in the context window, but you could, and in many cases you probably should. What? Like it's hard? If the book is too long, use Gemini 1206. That said, I've spent all day reading and writing and used almost no queries. I ask questions most often when reading papers, then when reading some types of books. But I rarely read books, and I've been triaging away the papers for now. One should, of course, also be asking questions while writing or reading blogs or even reading Twitter, but mostly I end up not doing it. Overall, it is early, but it seems clear that O1 and especially O1 Pro are big jumps in capability for things in their wheelhouse. If you want what this kind of extended thinking can get you, including fact recall and relative lack of hallucinations, and especially large or tricky code, math, or science problems, and likely most academic-style questions, we took a big step up. When this gets incorporated into IDEs, we should see a big step up in coding. It makes me excited to code again, the way Claude Sonnet 3.5 did, and does, although right now I don't have the time. Another key weakness is lack of web browsing. The combination of this plus browsing seems like it will be scary, powerful. You'll still want some combination of GPT-4o and Perplexity in your toolbox. For other uses, it is too early to tell when you would want to use this over Sonnet 3.51. My instinct is that you'd still probably want to default to Sonnet for questions where it should be smart enough to give you what you're looking for, or of course just ask both of them all the time. Also, there's Gemini 1206, which I'm hearing a bunch of positive vibes about, so it might also be worth a look.
This has been an episode of the Don't Worry About the Vase podcast. If you enjoyed this podcast, please visit thezv.substack.com to support the author. If you enjoy having AI-narrated episodes, please note this is a listener-supported podcast. To receive new posts and support the cost of creation, consider becoming a subscriber at dwatvpodcast.substack.com. Thanks for listening.